This Hispanic Heritage Month, we recognize major gains made by the Hispanic community. The 1968 walkouts forever changed school funding. Audrey Castoreno explains how the protests exposed prejudice against Hispanics in this week's Together We Rise. It's a series where we explore complex issues and solutions to help us all get better together.
In 1968, Mexican-American students across the country walked out of their classrooms, protesting discrimination and inequities on school campuses.
So the 68 walkouts were a dramatic expression of the unrest in the barrios throughout the Southwest. It was a vocal and spectacular response to generations of racism, poverty, illiteracy, and hunger.
The movement reaching Texas and San Antonio. On May 16th, Edgewood High School students organized and walked out of school.
Because I never will forget.
These alumni, then juniors and seniors, exercising the very lessons that they were learning in their classrooms.
We have been talking about inequality and hearing over and over and over, this is what I recall, how Edgewood was the poorest school district in the state of Texas. That was my intent and why I walked out.
A lack of basic resources in their classrooms and the yearly dismissal of their request for better, pushing these kids to action.
We were upset that our bathrooms were always not well kept, they weren't clean. We didn't even have toilet paper when we needed it. We saw a lot of things that other schools had that we didn't have at Edgewood.
And when they started to do their homework, that group of students started to do their homework, they're the ones that discovered that many of our teachers were not certified, were not degreed. They were still educators, their heart was still there, but they were not degreed, they were not certified. So we were still lacking in the quality of education that we were receiving.
Well, let's do something about this.
This group of seniors' small movement reaching classmates and leading to hundreds of students walking out of Edgewood High School.
The thing about it is Mexicanos, Chicanos, whatever you want to call us, we were taught through our parents to be accepting. This is what you have, what are you going to do? Learn with what you have, and then no complaining. At that particular decade, the America was on fire. So there was, what example did we have but to protest and to march, and that's basically what we did.
And so what happens in '68 is really the students themselves taking the mantle for activism in their own hands. Calling out school administrators for their racist practices, calling out the curriculum for its neglect and denial of the Mexican experience in the United States.
Their grievances not going unnoticed by the community.
Then the parents came around. We had parents who supported us, and some of the parents were willing to put this case into play.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was an accomplishment that we originally had no idea that was going to occur.
The court case going all the way to the United States Supreme Court and changing Texas education funding through what's widely known today as the Robin Hood Plan, where money is taken from wealthier districts and dispersed to poor ones. But it's a case that's still not been won in many people's eyes.
I think it's important that people do recognize that the struggles that went into creating equity in the educational realm, those were actions of regular people. That's really the history. That's the power of the history there, right? Is that these are communities that are moving together to create some kind of change.
A change in schools still being fought today, and what now is being called the digital divide.
Well, as Audrey said, the issue of equal school funding is still being challenged today. For more Together We Rise stories, go to kens5.com/rise.